Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the show, Positively Awesome Wrestling. I have returned from LA from a magnificent show, and I'm joined, as always, by the better half, Tidey. Tidey, how have you been, and how did you enjoy last weekend's festivities?
How I've been, man, I had to work. I took a couple days off just for the Mania, and then I had to work straight. Um, Drank so much that weekend of WrestleMania with birthday parties that, man, it took me days to recover. I mean, so I'm almost normal, man. I'm getting there. But how I like it, man, I've never seen so many people that were watching it with me. We had like four other guests. One's kind of a casual. That's my roommate. Um, and the rest were just popping for certain matches. Like I was like, it's about time y'all understand why this is so good. And we were explaining to them, man, it's kind of like theater, man. Like, but man, they had the best time of their life on those three matches. Other times they were so drunk, it was still a good time. So
Do you
that was
recall?
shocking. I
Do you
was
recall
shocked.
which three matches they were?
Charlotte, Rhea, the 6-man, whatever, the 4-team tags with the men, seeing Chad Gable, slam Braun,
Beautiful.
Dawkins shoulder check the shit out of him. They just had fun, and then Ricochet doing that backflip where his feet hit that guy's chest by the time he landed. Um, like they were just popping. Those were the two, and I know there's a third. I'll think of it in a second.
All right, so let's get these on. No, babe, it's you that's looking good. I'm just here. She says, hello, Tidy.
Amanda.
Jimmy, still catching up on. Yes, I am. So the whole trip last week started with me getting like 3 hours of sleep and then boarding the plane and traveling. And then we get to LA. It's like, I don't want to go nap. I want to go do some stuff. And then I didn't go to bed till like 11 o'clock at night, which we stayed up late. I think we stayed up late every night, and then I wake up late every morning, but it's early over here. Man, it threw my whole sleep schedule off, and I have not been able to catch up yet. And it's only 2 hours, so I can only imagine how the other people from around the world are feeling. Like my boys, got Andy and Nick and Cy and Deez and all my other boys like that. They they were like 8 hours behind, so I can just imagine how bad their sleep schedule is right now. Got Cameron in the chat. What up, Cameron? Thank you for joining us again. Thank you for joining us again. If you're wondering what the handkerchief's for, I don't know if anybody has seen, but while I was over there in LA, I might have done some hard time with the world's most dangerous criminal, Dom.
Oh
So,
man.
so I kind of got a new light. Oh, what's going on here? Kind of got a whole new shtick going right now because I'm a hardened criminal, just like our boy Dom. Big ups to my boy Dom. He'll get his win back from WrestleMania though. But enough of all of that. We're gonna talk about WrestleMania real quick before we jump into some other things. First off, what was your number one match of the entire weekend?
Charlotte and Rhea.
I knew that was coming. Before you even start, because I know you're probably going to go crazy with it, and rightfully so. I will say, everyone knows I don't like Charlotte. Everyone knows I don't like Charlotte. But what her and Rhea did was magnificent, and it made me even possibly question if that's the best women's match I've ever seen, at least in WWE. Becky's had a few of them, but I think Charlotte and Rhea took the cake with that one. I think it was just that good. And I even went back and watched that one. And it didn't come down at all. It was still just as good as it was when I was there. Phenomenal. But now the floor is yours to gloat about your queen. What made that match your favorite of the weekend?
Well, besides me liking the match, it was literally just my friends who aren't wrestling fans loving both of these women. You got Rhea, who's big, pretty much larger than life. You got the commentaries, hitting them in and cluing them in besides the video packages of what's kind of going on. They said a couple times, like, Rhea physically can hang with Charlotte. And you look at Rhea, and these are new fans watching. She's got that big old back, all muscle. I mean, so they were engaged just by the look of it alone. And the fact that Charlotte came out in this robe that looked magnificent. But it's just the hard hitting, the shit that they did. Like, even when they dropped Charlotte on her, she dropped her on her head, and she had that cut right here.
Yeah.
the realism of it. I mean, I remember a point where Rhea had her on the floor and was like kind of had her legs in, was just hitting the crap out of her, and then Charlotte would flip it over and go right into forearms. It's just like people that don't watch, how good is it? People that don't watch wrestling that are so bored, and I've had them come over before, and they're drinking booze to have a good time. It's an excuse to drink, but that made them light up. Just oh shit moments throughout the whole thing, and they're literally on the edge of their seat watching with us. And then me and my roommate are kind of cheering, and we're getting more into it because they're enjoying it so much.
Yeah,
It's
that's how it works.
It's kind of how Mike. Yeah, I was like, dude, because it wasn't a give. They kept going. It was hard. And even the way it finished, man. What a better way to beat Charlotte than to basically knock her out by throwing her on the top of the post. And Rhea gets to Riptide and does that pin that she does where you're not getting out of that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, because we were like, no, not now. Yes, go, Spears, etc. That was the perfect way to end it. And talk about elevating somebody. Michael Cole said it on SmackDown. That may be the best championship match. He didn't say male or female, best championship match I've ever seen in my whole WrestleMania commentating. I mean, that's how impressed. If you saw non-WWE fans losing their shit, dude, it was like a damn party at my house.
Like the match was so good. If someone had that opinion, I wouldn't argue with them. Like as far as the best championship match they've seen, because it really was that good. Just to touch on Dave Meltzer's 5-star ratings real quick. I really don't ever pay him attention. I'm not even gonna talk about like his ratings. I'm just gonna speak on like what we got to witness. Because in my opinion, the Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Usos match was a 5-star match because of the story involved, the how they incorporated things from the past, and how they kind of paced it slow and then brought it up and then kind of climaxed it at like the best way. I think Rhea and Charlotte was a 5-star match. And I can't think of any other time in the history of me watching wrestling where I watched a show where I got to witness back-to-back 5-star matches live. Not like I YouTube this match. No, I watched this live. Like even if it was TV, it still is incredible to think we got to witness one 5-star match and another 5-star match after. They were just that damn good. Looking back when I went back and rewatched and I saw the spot where Charlotte got dumped on her head, it looked way worse the first time. The second time I went back, it's like, okay, it wasn't as horrible as I thought. Because I thought they caught the bridge of her head right here, and it was more flat. She just didn't get her hands down in time. So no harm, no foul there. But I can't praise the match enough. I can't even be hate on you for picking Charlotte here because it was well deserved. It was well deserved. They're so good. That was a good match. My favorite was Cody and Roman. I would like to know what you thought of the ending of that, because I'm not going to talk about. That's not my favorite.
Me?
No, Cameron. Well, I'd like to. I will get to yours as well. When Cameron answers, I want yours as well. But yeah, I can't even hate on the Rhea Charlotte, and I want to go ahead and give Bianca and Asuka props as well, because I thought it would be very hard for them to kind of follow what Rhea and Charlotte did, even though it was on another night. They still have a championship match, and that in the back of their mind, they're like, we gotta one up these girls. At least we gotta.
Oh yeah.
At least match them. And I don't think they matched them, but I think they did their damnedest to do so, and it was an incredible match in itself. Yeah, she's like, who did you? I want to know who Cameron wanted to win. I want to know what he thought about the end of it, because I'm curious. I love soaking up the tears of the Cody fans right now. But I don't think anybody's. I almost picked the 4-way men's tag match because the balls. I don't want to call it balls. The fact that usually the second match of the show is hey, time to go get a drink, time to go bathroom. That's usually what they put in those situations, because it's the match we kind of just like don't care about. And storyline wise, that is a match that we shouldn't have cared about. But what them boys did in that match was that set the tone for that, I think, the rest of the night, honestly. Because after that, I was on a high and I never came down from it. Like, never came down. I kind of took a break when the whole Pat McAfee thing happened. But other than that, I was like, every match I was just like, let's go. It was amazing. And to cap it off, my match of the weekend, I don't think anybody would question what it is. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and the Usos, because again, I love the pacing of this match. They started off slow. The whole hugs at the end when they go back to when Sami did Kevin Owens and grabbed him and hugged him and then dropped. They did it with they tried to do it with Sami and then they switched up and did it with Jay. And I was a little bit, I don't want to say mad, but I was confused at first because they had Sami as the workhorse and Kevin as the hot tag. And I felt like you'd want Sami to be the hot tag in this situation because he's over with the crowd. I still think he's the most over in WWE. That's for another story though. But you would think they want that to build up, and then he gets the hot tag, and the whole place erupts. But them having him be the workhorse, in which he just got beat down for most of it, was pretty genius because that's the guy we want to see, and we're just watching him get his butt kicked. And then right when we're like, okay, here comes this, he's gonna flip the switch and kick it into the next gear. Nope, he kept getting his butt kicked. And he kept asking for it. And it's like, come on, Sami. They honestly had me thinking, I think, in two different spots that the Usos were going to retain. And man, oh man, would that have made for a horrible, horrible night for me. Man, I was like mentally preparing myself. I was like, man, if they don't win, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? But luckily they did. And I think watching it back, I noticed Sami tried to do it on his own. And it wasn't working because the Usos were their tag team. And then when Kevin got the tag, he was trying to do it on his own. And it wasn't working. And it wasn't until the very end when they kind of got on the same page and started doing things together that they were able to overmatch the Usos. And that's how they were able to win. I don't know if that was by design or if, again, I'm just seeing things I wanted to. But that's what it kind of came across as. And that's what I mean by the pacing is they slowly beat these guys down. And then all of a sudden they said, nope, we're doing this together. And the third Haluva kick, Sami just kind of took it all in. And I saw someone talk about this where we knew it was about to happen, and the fact that Sami just kind of let us marinate in it for a second to kind of just really appreciate what we're about to see just kind of sets this match over the top for me, because that little 3 seconds where he just stood there, he's looking at Jay, and he's just like, yeah, this is it. And it was like, man, that's a beautiful way to cap off that match. And I would say story, but it seems like we're not even done with the story. They're going to keep going with it. And I'm all for it. I really am. But man, that was so fantastic. That's not by chance the third match your people were going crazy for, is it?
No, it actually it wasn't.
My goodness.
They were liking it. They were engaged, but they weren't, since they're not wrestling fans, if they're not all over the place, then they're not going to be as engaged. So
that's fair.
Even me, I love the match, man. It's just, I couldn't help but, think about why it's come to this, how it's at this. And all I can think about that made my night is that I already knew it wasn't going to be over. The story isn't done. And it's not just the Sami story, man. We got like 5 players in front of our TV. So what do we get on Monday Night Raw? What do we get on SmackDown? The only story that's really going, it's them. It's still Bloodline story, man. So, and when Triple H said that at the end, that these are just chapters, he liked story, and the story doesn't really end.
Yeah,
and
it's a never-ending book.
Yeah, pretty much. And I mean, like, that gave me more hope for just more Bloodline story, more Sami. Because, like, man, if anybody really needs to disassemble the Bloodline and not just Jimmy and Jay, that was my problem watching it. Like, this is the Jimmy and Jay solution, but this ain't knocking off Solo and Heyman and Roman. So when I heard that, man, it made my weekend better. My it was so close to my number one, like what's his name said. It was third for me, Sami and them. Roman Reigns. God, man, man, that shit was good. It was. I explained to my roommate. She's like, "Well, he goes slow. He doesn't have a lot of moves, so it kind of bugs her at times,
By design.
Kind of fallen exactly." Yeah. But I was like, "But look at his facials. Look how he emotes. Look how he's being a bully. Just watch how he does it." And it was just such damn good. That night too was just me and her watching it, and we were loving that damn match. And when he got Cody, we jumped and screamed like someone just won a tournament. the one we were picking, like that's how happy we were because we knew that was the better story. Cody, get that shit later, man. He'll be fine.
I got some stories about the end of the show that I'll share just here a second. Cameron said, "Oh, that's why she asked him." Roman for sure. So he had Roman winning. He thinks when the Usos came out, that changed the whole match. Roman Spirit, yeah. Do I think Cody will finish the story? Yes, I do, and I think he does it next year at WrestleMania 40. It's in Philadelphia. The Rocky Balboa story is the underdog comes back and he gets his redemption. It's in Philadelphia. That's where Rocky Balboa is from. It makes sense to me. And I've always said, me and Tidey have been preaching this since the Royal Rumble. Cody needs more time. And if he did it next year, I would have no problems with it. So I'm still on that fence. I'm dying on that hill. I don't know if anybody else is going to die with me. I don't care. That's what I'm going with. It's going to happen next year. Now, when the match happens, the whole week I went in thinking like Roman's retaining, but then I don't know, something in the air just had me thinking like, nah, this is Cody's night. It really is going to be Cody's night. But then what they did, something was happening like during the entrances and once they got in the ring that kind of made me be like, no, I was right. This ain't Cody's night. It's not. They just made it seem like so obvious that Roman was going to lose. And he didn't, which again, I knew. I just got sucked up in the moment, like, oh man, Cody is gonna do it. I will agree that a lot of people will say the ending was kind of like because of the Solo thing. I get it, but again, I really think it's all just by design. You're supposed to just really hate this man, and if he's constantly doing these things you don't like, you're just gonna hate him more.
That's if you're analyzing it while it's going on.
Yeah,
too hard instead of enjoying it. Because when we were watching it, we know Solo was thrown out. He comes back and does that after the interference was going on, and then that's the way and hit. Bam, that shit was brilliant for me. Now, if I was to analyze it in the moment, then yeah, that probably would have took a little away. But nah, man, I was. Yeah. That was the shit. That was a great match.
I'll just say I wasn't analyzing anything in the moment. I was just appreciating it for what it was, and that's probably why I ranked this WrestleMania so highly. But again, I'm just kind of like afterwards, I started listening to the complaints. And I started going back and looking. It's like I get what they're saying, but again, I think it's by design. And the Usos thing, you brought up like you think that they just lost and they're just down. That's not Roman. That's not Solo. That's not Paul. I think they're the next step. Well, they're the first step towards the crumble because it's supposed to cause the dissension between Jay and Roman. And I like that we're not just going to ignore the fact that Sami and Jay had that connection. I like that they jump right back into it because if Cody isn't going to win the title, and I know I just said if Sami wasn't going to win the title, and I know I just said Cody is going to win it next year at WrestleMania. But in my heart, I would love to watch Jay win it. I would love to see it happen. And if Sami is the reason he beats Roman, I forgive the fact that Sami didn't win the title. I really do. I do. Because I think that would be tremendous. Not only did he take down the Usos, but then he helped take down Roman and then the rest crumbles. So
I can see that. Yeah, I can definitely see that. Completely make up for a lot.
But that's my heart talking. If I'm just to analyze it, I do think Cody finishes the story next year at WrestleMania 40. I know a lot of people like, I can't deal with another year of Roman as champion. But no, because I feel like it was just a couple months ago, everyone was talking about Roman could be champion for the next 5 years, and I wouldn't even care. It's like, okay, well, you can't stick around for one more. Come on. The story's been fantastic. Why? We got Bobby Lashley waiting. We got Sheamus, who's never taken on Drew or Roman. We got a possible Randy Orton return. We got Jay and Jimmy and Solo waiting. There's a lot of stuff that's still left to do. AJ could come back, challenge Roman. There's still so much left to do there, especially if AJ is with the Good Brothers. Roman and the Usos versus AJ and the Good Brothers. There's a 3-way you could do there, and then it leads to 8. Like, there's so much they could still do with this. One more year isn't going to hurt. It really isn't. If they continue to operate at the level they're operating on, though. That's what I'll say. But we'll move on from at least WrestleMania, unless you got add one more thing in. You have anything else? Okay.
Nah.
Okay. I will say I didn't think any match was horrible on this card either. That's why I rank it so highly. The worst match was it still had enough moments to make me be like, I like it. So I'm not going. But next up, we're going to jump into the next night, in which was shocking, but at the same time, after they kind of like led into it, I was like, I know where this is going. Brock Lesnar taking out Cody Rhodes. Why?
Oh, man. You see SmackDown and what's his face said, what the commentator with, why am I forget his name?
Barrett.
The elbow, the bull elbow. Yeah, he said that his sources or something, he was complaining that he wasn't the main event basically of night 2. Basically, he opened, right? So and that's what he said on SmackDown. And the only way I can put that a little bit together, not giving it credit at all, but I can see that Brock doesn't like. I never seen Brock really like newcomers. You got to earn that respect. He didn't like Dean Ambrose and didn't work with them, right?
Yeah, no,
you got to be on tippy top level. And I can see him being like, all right, this guy's gonna get the main event just to lose. But he's been back in WWE, and probably as a Sammy fan, you feel like, hey, Sammy deserves that. There's so many people that are deserving of something, but maybe he felt the same thing. It's too early for your story, and it pissed him off. I don't know, man, but I know Brock doesn't hand out respect easily.
No.
So he's going to make, and knowing that's kind of Brock, he's going to make Cody get that respect from him. That's how I feel. You want to be a main event dude, and you don't know what a beast is, like the Brock. Brock is he's back to being a threat too, man.
Yeah.
Holy shit. That was domestic violence on my television.
So real quick, I got that in. So the whole thing with Snoop Dogg was great. Like how they were able to just off the top of their head, just like, okay, let's switch it up, get this done. That was great. I loved it. But with the Brock thing, I'm still kind of clueless. I can't think of a logical reason as to why he did what he did with Cody, because he hates Roman, and he has to hate Paul too. So I just don't get it. I'm all for it, because as much as I've loved Brock Lesnar's little babyface run, Brock as a just a guy who just beats the hell out of people is a scary man and can help really take, I guess, more sympathy for Cody. He can get Cody more sympathy, I believe. I know other people are like, no, you can't. Yeah, I think they can, because Cody took an ass whooping. There's no other way to put it. So, what up, noob? Thank you for joining, bud. If Cody was to just keep taking like whoopings like that before he gets in the ring with Brock and then he conquers the beast eventually, that's going to be a moment where it's like, okay, hard times. We keep talking about Cody's hard times like his daddy. This is phase 1 of his hard times, because as we talked about before WrestleMania, he had faced no adversity at all. It's literally just, I showed up, I came back, and I've kicked everybody's butt. Nobody could stop me. I'm unstoppable. Roman just stopped you. Albeit he cheated, he stopped you. Now you got a beast in your way. And that's your first step back towards getting your redemption, to finishing your story. So I like the idea of Brock doing it. I'm just trying to wrap my head around the why. And the only thing I can think of is that Paul Heyman's involved. Yeah. Like, that's all I can think of. He's been on the phone a lot lately. Did he somehow manage to convince Brock to start being like, is he as an advocate again? I don't know. It's weird. It's very weird how they did it. It almost seems like, I know people excuse me, love to use this phrase. What is it? Hot shotting it. They're hot shot booking right with this, throwing Brock in there for no reason. I want a reason before I guess crap on the idea as the why. But I honestly, I guess I was kind of hoping you might have some, because I'm not putting pressure on you. I'm just like, I couldn't think of anything. I was like, maybe someone else can, but I just logically can't think of a reason why Brock would do it.
Well, is he gonna reveal it eventually when he's whooping his ass one night? Is he gonna actually say something? I mean, they asked Paul, "Hey, what the hell's going on SmackDown? Why did this happen to Cody or whatever with Brock?" And what did he say? Oh, we got more important things. We were talking about the tribal chief. He flipped it right to that. So your idea of it just being Paul being involved, and it's the only logical thing. It really is. There wasn't a beef between him and Cody. Maybe he didn't like that John Cena raised his hand. Maybe he doesn't. Yeah, and John Cena and them opened, and that's his boy. So that's a big gap for me to try to put together. It's most likely Paul, and if not, man, Brock would have a good reason when he says, "This is why I don't like this motherfucker," or "This is why I want him, out of the scene. I want people to recognize me as the violent being." All that coming off of like, man, you got beat by Lashley 3 times. All that coming off after maybe not having that match with Bray. And it was supposed to be, Bobby and Bray. I can't think of much. I'm gonna stick with Heyman. Yep.
There is the very possible scenario that's very simple, but that maybe Brock's just gonna be like, I don't like you, because a heel Brock, literally he could just be like, yeah, I don't like you. You don't deserve this. No. I don't know if you've seen the comparison. It was a graphic, and it showed Brock return when he did his initial return to WWE. Attacked John Cena, lost the night before at WrestleMania. Then Brock returned the next night, destroyed him, and then John Cena had to overcome that, and he ended up beating him. I think this is between the whole Rock matches. He lost to The Rock. He went through Brock. He conquered Brock, and then he went on to beat The Rock at WrestleMania the next year. Very similar to what we're seeing with Cody. And what I'm noticing a lot with Shawn and NXT and Triple H right now is that he's kind of going back to some of these storylines that were really effective and recycling them. That could be what this is. I still want to know the why. If Brock's is like, I don't like the way he looks. He's got that stupid tattoo on his neck, and I want to rip it off. I'm cool with it. I just hope it's something that I can get behind and not just.
See, I'd get behind it. I mean, because Cody's always smiling. He looks too much like a babyface. I'm sorry. The dude's too perfect. His smile, everything. And, the way he cuts his promos, which I know he could dig deeper on it. But if you look at Brock when he came out wearing all black, kind of shoving him in the beginning when they were setting up the tag, and then shoved him kind of again when the tag match started, it's kind of like, I don't fucking like you, man. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, we're together. Huh? Yeah, fuck off. So I can really see it. I don't like the fucking smile on his face. And he was wearing all black, came out wearing black again. So I'm okay with that explanation if that's what it is. Because Colin Heyman, that is, not that it's predictable, but man, why would we rehash that? I don't want to really rehash it at the same time.
It's worked for so long. I mean, there's no reason that we can't just go back to it. I think Cody will finish the story, but by the time Cody faces Roman Reigns, this is a very real possibility too. There's going to be more Samoans there, and they're going to just stack the deck against Cody. That's a very real thing that could happen. We'll have to wait and see what happens there, but I'm excited to see Cody and Brock because we've never seen it before. It's new. It's fresh. Like we always talk about, we want to see new. This is new. I don't care. They're old. It's a new match. It's a new feud. We haven't seen it. And if Brock was going to beat Omos, and this was the reason why, okay, I'm okay with it. Because I really thought Omos should have went over. But I thought he should go over because I thought he should have been a challenger for Cody. So if Brock is beating Omos and now he's a challenger for Cody, okay, you've made me okay with it. So kudos to him for that. Do you think they wrestle at Backlash?
Oh, Well, since Roman ain't showing up, I mean, I don't see a reason why, unless Brock comes back again and just kind of gives him like an injury where he's just gone for like a month. Um, Shit, that would be a big start because if, say, he doesn't beat Brock, then what? Fight him at the next pay-per-view or fight him later? No, he should probably beat him, but that's really soon. That's like what, 3 weeks, man? Almost 4 weeks.
It's the first weekend of May.
Yeah, I mean, I can see WWE doing it, and then that just leads to what, SummerSlam. Like the guy D's games, like he had a really good thing on that. Like Brock's gonna whoop his ass. He eventually beats Brock. Gets the respect from the fans for taking on this. This Brock looks very dangerous and shit. Make a grown man, shit his pants, man.
Yep.
So then he can come back by SummerSlam, kind of building his way up just to lose to Roman by cheating at SummerSlam. I mean,
Deez's thing was that Seth Rollins wins Money in the Bank and cashes in at SummerSlam, so that when Cody wins, he beats Seth. And I think that's a cool theory. I do. But as I told Deez at the same time, I think fans would feel really cheated to see Cody not beat Roman.
Yeah, it would be a steal again.
Because
maybe not SummerSlam then.
Effectively, you've taken the title off of Roman without him having to get pinned. Because I would assume if Seth cashes in Heist of the Century 2.0, which again goes back to the Triple H recycling certain storylines, he'd pin Cody. You would have to have him pin Cody. If you want that to work, you would have to. And then, so Roman loses titles, and then what does he do? Does he go after Seth? Does he take his titles? He would have to. So then Seth is going to be the one that beats Roman because he gets to keep. I don't know. I think, in theory, it's a great idea, but I think it creates a lot of problems.
Well, like
I know a lot of people are complaining, but we really don't know what's going on. And unpredictability is, who doesn't want that when you're watching something and you're enjoying it? Like if it sucks, it's one thing, but if it's really good, why would you be mad at it? I don't get the hate for it.
Well, what Triple H said, like what you kind of say sometimes, is like, if you can come up with a better story that I have in my head, prove me wrong. It's what Triple H said at the conference after that. Basically, looking at Roman and how he emotes, or even Gunther, he gave props to them. Roman's just on a different level right now, and if I think the story is better, he's kind of sticking with it. I mean, because he has a better idea of how that would work if that's in his mind to let Cody win. I mean, everybody knows it's got to be eventually, but I don't know. I ain't the one writing stuff, but right now it wasn't the best idea. So I think Brock, for me, I don't give a shit what anybody says. This is the best damn thing ever. When Brock was whooping Cena's ass, when I see Brock Lesnar, that shit is invigorating. And that's coming, like, that was the only thing good about Monday Night Raw, man. I mean, that and, it's a little bit of bloodline story. So that shit made me happy.
Exciting. Again, I think so. I know a lot of people are, the whole Vince McMahon news nonsense is deterred people away. I don't get it. Just, I'm still excited for what's happening. I think there's a lot of stories still to be told. So I'm looking forward to where they go with it. And Cody beating Brock Lesnar, that's huge. That's going to be a huge moment for him. And if for the people who are like, we really wanted Cody to have his moment, and it's like, he's still going to have his moment. It's not like with us when Sammy lost.
Oh.
That was his moment. He's not ever going to get that back. Cody can get his back because he was not at that level. He was forced to that level. They can just do it again and it'll be fine. He'll be okay. So for the fans that were there and they feel like they were cheated, I get it. You wanted to be a part of it. You wanted to witness it. I get it. Take off your fandom hat for just a second and realize, it's still going to happen. Just be patient. They would have never made it back in the day as a wrestling pig.
Well,
we want long-term storytelling. Okay, here's some long-term storytelling. I don't want it.
Well, for the Cody fans, for let's say general wrestling fans, like my roommate didn't care about Cody. Just kind of like she didn't have a reason. She's a big into just stories in general, whether it's shows that have a longer story. All the moments that Sammy did, how entertaining and how whatever he was, we know what it is. We talked about it a million times. Like, fell in love with Sammy. Like, completely fell in love with Sammy. And that's the one thing probably Triple H, and a lot of us would think as wrestling fans, not Cody fans, like, dude, you got to get on that level to where I love this person. I really am rooting for this person. I wouldn't have, even if Cody won, I wouldn't have popped it. Yeah. For some reason, I popped seeing Roman win. I was so into it, so I was like, man, this can't be the way this goes. If Sammy isn't good enough, and they want to talk about being hurt, I knew Sammy was good enough. I knew he was that fucking guy. His wife was there yelling, he loved you, Roman. Oh, I did this for you. No, he loved you. All that shit. You talk about a great moment, and then you talk about being hurt. Like, I was hurt. I went on a depression thing for like a month straight. Yeah. And you guys didn't get to the point where you love Cody in WWE that much. So what is it? Is this just prestige from what he's done, or from AEW, or you want to see Dusty Rhodes win the championship? Are you 50 years old? Did you see
this Dusty is what it Rhodes? Is. He's the new shiny toy. That's all it was.
No shiny toys for you. It's heel season, man. We got Gunther. We got Roman. And you know what? I am personally, Roman is in like my top 3 right now. That dude is so damn entertaining. I love that shit. And after watching him wrestle the way he did,
thank you.
Roman is, I'm telling you, man, he'll be on my Rushmore by the time his career is over. If this is the way it's going, I'm loving this shit.
If he can continue to operate at the level he's operating on, 100%.
And there may be Jay Uso right next to that. I mean, that's how much I love Jay.
Just to touch on the Cody stuff real quick before we move on. For all the people who are like, we already know Cody's story. He's like, yes, the diehard fans know Cody's story. I'm going to let y'all know right now. My girl has met multiple fans who are like wrestling fans who had no idea who Cody was when he came back to WWE, because they didn't watch it back in the day. They only watched it past that. So when Cody showed up, they're like, who's this guy? They like him, but they don't know his story. So once again, I will repeat myself, probably not for the final time. I hope it's for the final time. We didn't have long enough time to tell his story for those kinds of fans. You just didn't. It took more than 5 weeks to tell the story of Cody's dad failing. He failed in WWE. He quit. He dominated the indies. He created the AEW monster and then returned to finish his legacy. Like, you can't do that in 5 weeks. Sorry. You can do it in a year, which is now what we're getting. So be patient and don't be greedy. That's all it boils down to. Is they're greedy because, I know the story, so I want to finish now. Let everyone else enjoy the ride with you. And when Cody lost, I had the time of my life that night. I'm just going to throw out that. Call me a Cody hater all you want. I don't care. I was leaving the stadium and I was going, oh, the ones. I was a Roman guy that night. We were driving. A better story. When we were driving on the GPS, a road came up. There was like Rhodesville or something like that, and I just laughed. Because I was like, Cody, he lost. I've been laughing all week at it. I don't care. I think it's funny because they're all saying the same things we said about Sammy, and they told us to shut up. Well, I'm telling you now, shut up. You're still going to get your moment. Shut up now, though. But segue, Cody, AEW. I'm going to bring this up. We can talk about it for a moment. I don't know if you heard, but AEW finally announced their show for London, which they've been teasing for about a year now. And Tony Khan is not playing games. He's going for Wembley Stadium. Do you know how big Wembley is?
No. I mean, I saw people saying like 90,000 or something.
90,000 fans. 2, WWE ran a show. I think they've ran one show here, and it was in 92. They got 80.
Okay.
It's incredible. It was an incredible scene. They got 80. I think AEW's biggest gate to date is 23 or 24. I hope they can fill that stadium. I think if they get 60, that'd be crazy. I would love it. I would absolutely love it. I've honestly thought of making plans to go to the show if they get enough people. That's how great I think it would be. With just the information I just gave you. 23 being there again, that might be off, but I think it's 23,000 being like the tippy top what they've done. Do you see any way possible they fill it up with 90,000 fans?
That's hard to say because, like, I don't know how many in the UK people are willing, or in Europe just willing to travel to go see that. Too, if you're getting up to 23,000 in the States, that means 1,000 tourists maybe. All right, 22,000, and that's big, maybe 1,000. So would they be willing to go all the way on a plane for that shit? Is it? They better make that build so damn good. Because unless I get to like the final 2 weeks and I see the build being that good where people will not shut up about it. Yeah, I saw somebody say CM Punk. I mean, if they make that story right, I mean, that can help. But 90,000 is a lot, man.
So just to say, they've not ran a single show in the UK since they've been brought up. So that's in their favor here because you got all those fans over there that are just dying to do it. Apparently AEW is more popular over there. That's what I hear. The people I know don't agree, but I've heard it from others. I guess it gets more viewers. I don't know. Clash of the Castle, I think, did 67, and that was more centralized for like Europe to kind of go to. UK is kind of a more like, okay, it's in London. It's for the people are still going to travel from Europe. And again, I've literally thought about it because I think being in a crowd of like 60, 70,000 AEW fans who are rabid and amazing at live shows, I think that would be just a magical moment to be a part of. But I'm not making that trip if it's only 30,000, 40,000. It has to be a big one. Tony Khan got some balls on him. I applaud him for it. I really do. But man, it's hard to envision him.
Well, I mean, it's like he better be swinging for the fences because, like, dude, that's embarrassing if half the stadium's empty. Like,
and here's another thing. I've been wanting to do a stadium show for a while. Like, if you consider yourself to be competition and you think you're playing with the big boys, start doing stadiums and show that you can fill those things up like WWE does from time to time. I thought Jacksonville would be the perfect opportunity for him because it's their stadium. He doesn't have to pay to use it. It's literally his stadium.
Yeah.
And the fact that he said, nope, we're not doing that. We're doing Wembley. I was like, damn, this man, he's got the exact opposite of Miz. He ain't got tiny balls. He got some big balls.
Yeah. Well, I can see AEW fans being for this and thinking, wow, we're gonna go in a big stadium. The thing is, like, being from the outside and just started to scratch on AEW's surface, they're not world-renowned WrestleMania. They haven't done that yet. What's going to be the name? What's the name to this thing?
It's AEW All In, and it's the name of their first show they did when they were told they couldn't sell out 10,000, and they did. So that's the whole idea behind this. I love that they're like, yeah, we're going all in again. It's great. It makes sense, but it's like, man, the balls. It's a lot. That's a lot. WrestleMania just at 81. Like, it's a lot. He could cap the stadium in half and just have to fill up half of it. That could be what he ended up doing, but I don't want him to. I would love for him to fill the stadium. I think it would be cool.
Oh, and that would be a huge statement if he does do that. I mean,
I do think he needs CM Punk to do it though.
Yep. Give some CM Punk, get that beef going with him.
Not just CM Punk, obviously, but he would help tremendously. And I think you do CM Punk, FTR, Kenny Omega, and the Bucks. I think that's the match you would have to headline that show with. But man,
you know who has star power? That girl, Jade Cargill. She is. When I see her on the TV, I'm like, damn, now that is a star.
Thank you.
I love Bianca Belair. I really do. But when I look at Jade and how she talks and how she carries herself, man, who the fuck else can I think from the WWE that can make a comparison of like
Roman.
this is a.
I'm not even joking. Roman. That's what I look at when I see Jade Cargill. That kind of superstar.
I can see that. Yeah.
That kind of superstar. And I don't care if people want to call it crazy. I've been bitching about this for months. The fact that you are not doing everything you can to put Jade Cargill on every possible show you can.
Oh, that's a poster girl right there.
It's to get eyes because she looks like a star. And when someone sees her, they're like, where is she from? AEW. I got to watch this girl. I got to see what she's about. She should be on Dynamite every single week. They should be pushing her and making her a superstar. And it's crazy that they haven't yet.
Kind of like New Japan with Mercedes. I mean, like, it's like advertised, like, this is that motherfucker. And she's doing it. Jade is like that, in my opinion. She's like Mercedes. That is a fucking star. I know people say that her wrestling isn't top notch yet. It doesn't matter. You start.
Goldberg's wasn't top notch at first either, and that man was a star. like I love Adam Cole. I love Britt Baker. Jade Cargill went to a basketball game with those three, and they put him in front of the crowd. Nobody gave a damn about Adam Cole and Britt Baker. They saw that woman like, yo,
is that for real?
Look, yes, this is dead. This is a real thing. It was at a Chicago Bulls game, and people were like, who is this? Tony should be throwing money at Jimmy Kimmel and all those other late night guys saying, can I get her on your show? Anything and everything he can to get eyes on this woman because she will bring eyes to your show. It drives me crazy when I watch an episode of Dynamite. I'm like, where was Jade? It drives me so crazy.
I would be bold, man. If I was Tony, I would get some of the UK talent from the NXT UK or even that Progress. Start bringing them over, really start building them up, build the women's division, someone for Jade to fight from like NXT UK, get a
Mercedes,
get a local home girl, and then have them go at each other.
Whatever money I had to give Mercedes to fight Jade Cargill, I'd do it.
Yeah, shit, that'd be amazing.
Mercedes would wrestle
sell out half of that stadium.
She would wrestle circles around Jade for sure, but that's a marquee matchup.
Yeah, that's huge.
I hope he builds this better than he's built the last few pay-per-views. I'll say that because I always think his build has been crap. The shows always deliver. The build sucks.
Yeah, someone told me like, AEW, they have just way better in-ring matches in general. I'm like, I'm not gonna argue that. I've seen what they do on there. It reminds me of Black and Gold. It's fast-paced. It's hard shit.
They have a hard time getting you invested.
Yeah, well, I'm just starting, so I already know without even seeing much to her. Jade Cargill, I've seen like 2 matches with her. That's got me invested already. Samoa Joe, invested. There's certain people I'm invested in already. Yeah, you're right. They need to push that girl to the moon.
For the longest time, I said if WWE and AEW work together, they could put on the best shows ever. Because WWE did a very good job of building shows, but then they'd kind of crap the bed. AEW does a horrible job of building shows, but then they'd always knock it out of the park. But they didn't have enough people invested to watch a show to get return investors. That was the problem. I'm excited for this show. I hope he can do it.
And he's gonna get that cinnamon toast crunch money that they were advertising in WrestleMania 1, night 1. They had all kinds of investing, man. Like, it was just stupid. But that'd be good, man. Like, if he can do that, it shows. It'll make even more people kind of want to tune in more, especially if you can fill that arena.
Yeah,
I mean, it will be the talk. Like, this is where it's at. I just need to love some people is all.
Yeah. All right, so we'll move on from that. I'm excited for it. I hope it doesn't like screw up, but that's what it is. Okay, so next up, now for the people who tuned in to watch this and they got this far, and you're wondering what the heck was that thumbnail all about? Here's the dealio. A screenshot from Ticketmaster started making the rounds the other day. And it was labeled WWE versus WWE SummerSlam. That was interesting. And then the wheels started spinning in my head because at the end of the day, I think I'm a fantastic booker. And I've always thought Mr. McMahon, when he was done, it should be there should be a storyline that writes him away. There's been a lot of talk. Vince is back and Triple H is getting pushed out. even though Triple H is coming on TV saying, we're not going anywhere. A Vince versus Triple H war, essentially, I think would be a fantastic idea in which the winner gets control. We get our farewell to Vince. I know a lot of people are like, he doesn't deserve it. Probably, but he did. It is his company, and he's going to do what he wants. I could see this being something he did. So I thought it would be fun to come up with a Vince versus Triple H team at SummerSlam where the winner takes all the marbles. So with that said, do you want to do these teams together? Do you want to take one side? How do you want to go about this one?
Man, I didn't make a team, man.
You didn't
Because
that's fine.
I was thinking like I was trying to get the grip of what when you told me this. I was like, what is he at? But I didn't.
I was so vague.
A way to write him out that makes more sense. Like if you want to leave, you leave on a storyline, and I can see just like any wrestler, anybody's addicted to this business, they're gonna have to give him a storyline to exit and leave, and that'll be a good way. He's just gonna be like everybody's already been saying it. I know he ain't deaf. Hey, yeah. Triple H is the better booker than you. Hey, Triple H does story better than you. So if I would have known that, then I would have grabbed my head around the fact of, okay, who would side with Vince or who would Vince just take? And like, these are mine because of some reason. Because I don't see in my head anybody's like, hey, we're going to go play with Vince. I don't know. Maybe like Drew, who didn't get his win. Maybe Asuka, who didn't get her win.
There you go.
Maybe.
I didn't dive too much into the women. I'm sorry. It has nothing to do with disrespect to the women. I don't want it to be a whole show that's revolved around it. I just want it to be kind of a centralized thing. I would feel like most of them would be like, I don't want to get involved. I don't want, because whoever wins, they're going to punish me. So I feel like that would be, it would have to be people who are like really invested in it. So for the first Team Vince, right off the top of my head, Brock Lesnar makes sense. That just makes too much sense for him not to be a part of it. Him coming out and attacking Cody kind of is a way to kickstart that. Vince is like, no, I'm going to destroy everything because it's my creation. And that's what he said. And this is about the Mr. McMahon character, not Vince McMahon himself, because Vince McMahon can piss off. I have no remorse for the guy. But the Mr. McMahon character has been such a huge part of the show that I think not having him sent off in a storyline would be a disservice, honestly, for the fans. Brock Lesnar has always been a Vince guy, always. So Brock Lesnar makes the most sense to head off a Team Vince. Would you disagree with that in any way, shape, or form?
No, I can't disagree.
Yeah, okay. So 2, you brought him up, Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre, when he showed up in the WWE all them years ago, he was a Vince McMahon guy. And I don't think anybody would disagree that right now, Drew kind of needs to turn heel. What is a great way to turn this man heel?
Man, have him shake hands with Brock.
Hold on. I got a little something. Siding with this man, Drew McIntyre. Brock and Drew on the same team is scary.
Yeah.
They're both Vince guys. Makes sense. That alone makes the whole whoever Triple H gets is like, I'm having a hard time believing you're gonna win.
Yeah.
Who would I have else? I'm trying to think.
I think Roman would be on Triple H's side, right?
I feel like Roman would just be like,
it would tip the scale too much. You can't put Roman and Brock together.
Not my problem. I think that's what Roman's theory would be. Not my problem.
That's true.
Seth Rollins. And I know everyone's like, he's a Triple H guy. Yeah, he was. And then Triple H pedigreed that man and let Kevin Owens take the Universal title. I could see Seth Rollins kind of being like, yeah, Triple H, everything's good. And then, boom, no, it's not. You screwed me, and now I'm going to screw you. I'll be the reason you're gone. Joins Brock and Drew. This is an all-star team right there. And it effectively turns Seth heel, which is going to be needed if we're doing a Seth and Cody thing again, which I assume we will be. So it just makes sense to me. Oh man, I'm trying to think who else I had on this team, Vince.
LA Knight didn't get his WrestleMania moment.
I
He
feel like
complained as hell about that. I mean, even Bobby, man. Even Bobby was complaining about that shit.
I thought about Bobby, but then I was like, no, Bobby wasn't he on Donald Trump's team at that WrestleMania?
Ugh.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. Things have changed, but I think he was against Vince then. So I don't think there's ever been a reason for him to be against be with Vince. I think it's the Usos. I think Roman would lend the Usos for whatever reason. I don't know. I don't know. I just use the Usos because they're a big tag team and they're the polar opposite of people I have on team Triple H. First and foremost, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They're Triple H guys through and through. Always have been, always will be. They have to be part of this.
What about Sheamus? Are you putting Sheamus on there if Drew's on there? Oh, come on, man.
I'm not. I think Sheamus versus Gunther is a match to have at SummerSlam. I think you do the third match at SummerSlam next year. That way it's a year-long journey, banger after banger after banger. I was so sad he didn't win a WrestleMania.
I didn't know why we didn't even speak on that one. But anyways,
I had to bring it up. I was sad. I probably was almost as sad as you were, honestly, because when he hit Drew with that second Claymore and then he fell on him, I was like, that's it. And then it didn't. Man,
the only reason I was okay, again, it all culminated with him saying, if I see a better story, and talking about everything he does in that ring means something. Like when Roman does something in that ring, and it means something. It's a different level. And yeah, Gunther should have more time. He either beats him later or Drew wins it and he beats Drew later. I don't care. Sheamus is going to get it eventually.
I would hate to see Drew take that moment from Sheamus. But so I got Kevin, I got Sammy. I'm doing LA Knight because there's no way LA Knight's going to forgive Vince McMahon for trying to give him that Max Dupree.
That's true.
It's a great way to get LA Knight further into a main event level spot. Like he's part of this angle. I think that would be great. Cody Rhodes obviously is going to be Team Triple H just for the Usos because Bloodline, Brock because he attacked him. Triple H has to do some convincing to get him there. That's what this whole thing revolves around is convincing Cody. Come on, man. We can't let this thing fall back. We got to keep our eye on the prize, keep it going where it's going, and you are the man that needs to make that happen. So they convince Cody to do it. Cody does it. I think he has to be the leader of this whole thing. I think because when they beat this mega team on the other side of the Usos, Seth, Drew, and Brock, that's going to make Cody look amazing.
Yeah.
And then this is going to sound completely absurd, and I'd have to sell it hard. I don't have much time to sell it, but I will just say Baron Corbin. I know it sounds absurd because of where Baron Corbin is at and where he's been for so long. But Triple H could be like, I want the man who's the last person to pin Roman Reigns. I want that guy back. Where's the guy that retired Kurt Angle? Where's that lone wolf that ran people in NXT into the ground? I want that guy back. I have faith that you could do it. He gives him the pet talk and he rallies him up. And then guess what? Baron Corbin, you could probably salvage him in this way.
Yeah.
And on paper, that team looks significantly less impactful than Team Vince, which is how I would do it by design. I want Team Vince to look more strong so that when Team Triple H wins, it's like, damn, Cody did it. I think it would be great. That's that. I know it's a pipe dream at this point. It's probably not happened. Since then, they've changed it. It's not WWE versus WWE SummerSlam anymore. I don't know what else they could have been thinking, though, when they did that. I don't know why they would have WWE versus WWE in there in the first place. Maybe they were like, oh, let's back up. People can't know what we're doing. I don't know. Or maybe it was just I'm making something completely out of just a typo. I don't know. But I think it would be a huge
typo.
Yeah, it's a very huge typo. And I think with the way this last week is gone, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility.
I don't think it is either, man. That shit that like I was feeling like when they said the draft, and this is game changing, when he said the draft and it's going to be big, and he said every superstar in that locker room. Then the next sentence he said, every superstar eligible, meaning NXT. I get my NXT call ups, and then I'm like, well, all we got is the Bloodline story. We got LWO. We got them kind of moving. Judgment Day is making a statement on SmackDown, but what the hell else? If they don't do this draft sooner, then what story are we going to start kicking off soon? Like, story ain't going to be able to start that easily until that draft happens. You think it's before Backlash, after? But again, on piggyback on what you're saying is, if they start that story soon too, I wouldn't be mad at that. That'd be a good way to start some shit off.
Apparently, the draft is happening May 8th. It's on a Raw. It's in Jacksonville, which that takes place after Backlash, so that's cool.
Yeah.
And Backlash is literally just finishing up storylines from WrestleMania anyway. So when people were bitching that why'd they change it to WrestleMania Backlash, it's just because it's WrestleMania Backlash. It's the Backlash from WrestleMania. Like, it makes sense. Shut up. They've gotten away. They've gotten rid of it so people can stop bitching about it. But I'll be at that show. I'm ecstatic. You're
just going to Puerto Rico?
No, not Backlash. The draft show.
About to say.
Yeah, the draft show. You brought up Judgment Day, and I just remembered it wasn't the Usos on Team Vince. It was Damian Priest and Dom. Dom. Yes, because I think Damian Priest and Dom could be potentially a team that takes titles off of Kevin and Sammy. I think that's a potential thing they could do because Damian has been on a run lately, and Dom is the hottest. Dom's the second hottest act in the business. Man,
did you see him try to speak on SmackDown?
He's the second hottest heel in WWE. I think he's probably the best heel in all of wrestling. But I'll digress. I'll give Roman the top spot. Dom's definitely clear ahead of everyone. Number 2, though. There's no question about it.
They booed.
Watch SmackDown. Yeah.
They booed his ass. He couldn't even talk. Yeah, keep on going.
It was brilliant. So it was Dom and Damian with Seth, Brock, and Roman.
Okay.
Because I essentially think they'd be feuding with Kevin and Sammy at that point.
But I thought you said no Roman.
Brock, Seth, and Drew. Sorry. Okay. We're just talking about Roman, so he slipped in. But the draft is happening apparently in Jacksonville, which I think is very interesting because Jacksonville is the home of AEW, and Cody Rhodes is AEW's. That's the guy that's. I don't know if anything plays into that. I don't know. I think it would be funny if it did, but I'm excited because Triple H obviously has a lot of plans for this draft. What he means by it being game changing, I don't know, but I'm curious. I'm invested. I want to know what's happening. Essentially, I know it's been done, but the stake. I look at it from a stakes perspective. The stakes have never been higher if we're going with what I was just talking about.
Yeah.
And if Vince is taking control of like Raw and Triple H is taking control of SmackDown, and that's how this whole thing kind of starts, that's kind of game changing to me. As long as it's a storyline and not just, this is just how it's going to be, pal. No, I want to be a storyline. But then the whole thing that nips this whole theory in the butt is the fact that this is a very Survivor Series feeling type thing. And there's already a pay-per-view for this kind of event. So doing it at SummerSlam would be weird.
Yeah.
I don't know where they're going with it, but I'm excited. I don't care if people think I'm a mark. I don't care if I really don't. I'm excited. If you're not excited, I feel bad for you. That's what I'll say. Because it's been awesome.
Yeah,
barring that Monday night.
I don't care for Vince. I love the draft. I've defended Vince a lot to my friends and other people of like, well, give him time and blah blah blah. And the last shenanigans he did, that was the end of it for me, man.
Yeah, for sure.
That's done. But as the character, I did love Stephanie McMahon and Shane McMahon running different brands. I didn't like Shane, to be honest. Don't like him. People like money, money, money. I was not like, yeah, here comes the money. I didn't give a shit about the money.
Bro, I was so annoyed by the guy sitting next to us because he was losing. He hadn't lost his shit all night. Shane comes out and he's you think he just won the lottery. I was like,
God damn it.
My girl was like, why is he so excited? I said, I wish I knew.
I wish I knew. But that, if they do the story right and Triple H has his hand in the story of it, I mean, because, man, I love Stephanie McMahon digging right into Shane. Like, she would talk so much shit to him and make him look bad. Like, they can do that with Triple H and Vince. Like, honestly, and right that, because right now he got written off in a way of, hey, I'm quitting and now I'm back as a CEO, but am I in the books? Am I not in the books? How
I
about
can
we
just
just
show up
write
whenever
his
I
ass
want,
off as a
pal.
story? Write him out for the story. That's a good way to just get rid of it and get closure, honestly. I got closure. The problem is he's still working for the company. So fuck it, just get rid of him this way.
Yeah. So here's some things. Again, I'm not just pulling it out of thin air. There are reasons behind it. One, I think Triple H he started incorporating like using security footage to tell storylines, which kind of gives it a more realistic feel. They did it with the parking lot. I think it was Seth and Riddle. So that's a thing. Two, they've started we know what this means. X means someone's hurt. We got to call an audible. Get him out of here. He's legit hurt. They've used this twice now for a storyline. So Triple H is literally eliminating what the marks think they know and using it to trick them. Because for a whole week, everyone's like, oh my God, Seth's injured in WrestleMania season. Oh, they're screwed. They're screwed. And then Seth comes out the next week and he's fine. They got him. They're tricking him. Triple H and there's just a lot of stories that come out. And they're like, when Vince was in charge, I feel like a lot of the sources were way more accurate than they are now. Yeah. Because it seems like every other day a story comes out and then that story changes. And then that story changes again because they got worked and now they're trying to finagle it in a way that makes like, well, we weren't wrong. It's just, you just have to wait. And I think that's the biggest cop out in the history of reporting. Just wait. Vince will be back. Just wait. Wait, how long? Because then when Vince dies, they'll just be like, well, he was about to just do what he was going to do, but he didn't get a chance. And it's like, you can't do that. That's cheap. I hate it. And I think Triple H has found a way to really stick it to them and make the product more fresh. Even the run sheets have been wrong. Like, not completely wrong, but I saw one for SmackDown in which there was no ladies on the show at all. And then we got a tag team match, and then you got a promo with Rhea Ripley. And I know people are like, well, the match was only 3. In WWE, it's not about matches. It's about matches and the stories that go with them. The promos, the segments, that's all part of their show. So if the ladies got a 3-minute match, which was designed to make Raquel and Liv look really strong going into their match against Becky, that's why they won so quick. When you give Rhea like a 7-8 minute promo afterwards, that's a significantly more amount of time. I wish they did get more. I won't lie. I do wish that, but I think. Hey, thank you for joining, Cameron. We're about to hop off too, man, but I appreciate you joining us, bud. Those are the kind of things that go with my whole thought of like, this could be a storyline they're about to run with Vince. And props to my boy Tom. I don't know if he's going to watch this. I assume he will, but he's the one that kind of put this in my head this time because I had the idea that Mr. McMahon's storyline should happen like when the rumors of WWE selling started. I was like, well, if Vince is going somewhere, they should storyline it. That's how he leaves. So when he said Vince with the pencil, the horrible look, the Vince heel mustache thing and everything, he goes, man, he's working us. This is a program. And I'm like, no, it's not. And then I was like, man, but what if it is? I think Triple H would do something like this. That's me, though. I would be excited for it, but it might not be nothing. I might be just talking out my butt.
But hey, it's not it's not what everybody's not talking about already anyway. Like, oh, Vince is clearly back. It's all I've been hearing. Yeah. Especially after WrestleMania and everybody who wanted Cody to win, like telling you Vince is back. Monday Night Raw went wrong. That's Vince's fault. So if something goes wrong, Vince just shit in the Woodhouse. That's what happens every time something goes wrong.
We're gonna start a fire Vince McMahon chant. Yeah, he is the most hated man, and he's not even on the show.
Yeah, all I know is this, man. They say the writing supposedly is already done for like almost a year of another storyline leading to WrestleMania, and I'm like, shit. Coming off of what we've seen, Bloodline's still going. I'm waiting for some cool new stories. I mean, yeah, there's Bray, and I need Bray to pick up some slack, man, after being gone. But that would be interesting. I'm sorry, it would. Or because I always like the Shane versus Stephanie angle.
Yeah.
I liked it because it was two real people, and that was in the documentary they released. But this, man, you got the best babyface guy right now. You got Triple H. People just really love him and they want to believe him. They want to believe in him. I'm trying to believe in him too, like everybody else. I've seen good evidence. And then you got the worst. You got Vince. That dude is evil,
And
devil, dead. That's a great story if you could tell it right.
Yeah. And you just brought up the great point. They have stories written for the next year, they've said. So I have a hard time believing
what if
that
this is a shocker?
the biggest Monday Night Raw of the year just gets shit on for no. I know this is another thing that's going to sound absolutely crazy, but WWE knows they have their viewers and they're not going anywhere. They might lose a few here and there, but they always kind of find their way back eventually. At least for the ones that are wrestling fans still today. That's what I'll say. Because I know there are some that have left. They don't watch wrestling anymore. But even the people who talk about, I'll never watch WWE again, I know they're watching because they talk about it all the time. They're watching it in one way, shape, or form. They're watching it. So I don't think it's even out of the realm of possibility that Raw was the way it was. I won't say horrendous because I don't think it was nearly as bad as everyone else said it was. I think there was some good stuff. There was a lot of bad stuff, 100%. But the stuff that was good was really, really good to me. I don't think I wouldn't put it past them that was by design, that was a bad show. Just to get the dirt sheets talking, Vince is back. Get them talking. Work the dirt sheets into thinking Vince is back. That way the heat starts coming. And then we start feeling bad for Triple H. Like, man, he did all this work and it's all for nothing. And then you go into this. Now, again, I'm going to be really upset if I did all this work just because they had a typo.
How do you do WWE and put versus as a typo?
VS period. And then that's what I'm saying. I don't understand how that's a typo, but there's a possibility it was.
I don't think so. I think they're fucking with our heads to make us even think this.
I think Triple H has been really good at working the smart fans and the dirt sheets, and I think this possibly could be another one of those things. And I'm excited for it. Bray, you brought Bray Wyatt. I never even thought that. Bray would be a great addition to Team Triple H.
Yo, that's what I was going to say earlier.
I'd replace LA Knight with Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
No disrespect to LA Knight. I think he has some things coming his way, but yeah. Yeah.
And you talk about like, dude, when this happens at SummerSlam, do you have many people? Like 99% of the fans are going to be behind Triple H's team. We're going to be like, this needs to fucking happen. This needs to win. And even if we know it's a story, it's still just a slight Vince a bit. And anybody who's good enough to be a heel and kind of take Vince's side and be a slime ball, man, they're going to get some mega heat. Mega fucking heat.
And putting Sammy and Cody, the two biggest baby faces, on Triple H's side will deter those few that they'll see Vince and they'll be like, yay, Vince. But if Vince is going against the two biggest baby faces, that kind of helps the case for Triple H to really be the baby face. It would take some of those fans away from Vince because there are still Vince fans for whatever reason. I don't know. That's for another day. But yeah, so that's that. I think it'd be fun. Man, I hope I didn't work myself.
It could be another Triple H thing. Let's create a typo to make them think that, and I'm just gonna fool the shit out of them come the draft.
Yeah, something along those lines. I'm excited. Again, I've said it a bunch of times. I'll say it a bunch more. I'm excited. I'm loving what I'm seeing. Barring that Monday Night Raw, there was a lot of bad stuff, a lot of good stuff, a lot of bad stuff. That's probably the first Monday Night Raw I've watched in a very long time where I was like, that sucked.
Yeah, that just straight up sucked.
Not nearly as bad as some of the shows I've seen long ago.
So since I can get I mean, we know why. There was no NXT call-ups. There was no surprise call-ups at WrestleMania or Monday Night Raw. So that's already going to put a damper on everyone's spirits. Put a damper on me, honestly.
Yeah.
But then when he says the draft on Friday, it makes me think when he says superstars twice, that now I can think about Mako. I can think about Tiffany. I can think about Blair Davenport. I can think about
Blair for sure.
Yeah. I mean, there's some big possibilities, and I say the women because like it's starting to be time already. I need women's storylines like a now. And it's got to be big. If he's not going to do it this year, man, dude, I have faith that he is. The last months haven't been that nice to the women's division, in my opinion.
Quick question for you: since Triple H has taken over, has he done anything that was like boom surprise, or has it all been just like built up things that were really well done?
Wait, has he done anything that's just a straight up surprise?
Yeah, because I can't think.
Sammy losing.
But I'm saying like a surprise return, a surprise debut, anything like that. Just anything.
There's been Damage Control. There's been a bunch of people that he calls that used to be his guys from NXT. He calls some of them back.
Okay. That's fair. He did bring those guys back. But I feel like he's relied more on kind of building things up as opposed to being just like, bam, surprise for the surprise pop.
When it comes
like
to
Shane,
the reason I'm still watching and like, because if you do the women's division dirty, it's not that I'm out, but man, you're gonna have a vampire watching your show from now on. I don't want to be a vampire. I want to be a human being.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been building. It's like he's built tag teams. Raquel and Liv look credible. I gotta say, my roommate popped for Natty and Shotzi.
Hey,
she hates Natty.
Shotzi's
like,
fun.
You know what? I'm kind of impressed by Natty's wrestling today. And I'm like looking at her like, what the fuck did WrestleMania do to you? Because this is not her talking. She's like, even that short match, she thought like the certain parts that were good were cool. She liked the fact that Shayna was hobbling with one foot. Like she was just appreciating certain things that I couldn't even see. But there's been build to that. The women are getting there. But I just want to take off now. Yeah. So there's definitely build.
I'm with you 100% on that. I think the women's division is probably the one spot that I think needs the one spot that needs work. I don't even want to say the most work because I've been saying it for weeks. Everyone's been kind of just like, yeah, right. But I've said after WrestleMania, I think the women's tag division is going to kind of take off a little bit. He's been putting people together, and instead of putting them together, giving them a match, and then breaking them up, he's kind of giving them time to mesh together. Liv and Raquel, it's one of them. They tried to do it with Chelsea and Carmella. Unfortunately, Carmella got hurt, but they're trying to put together some teams, and just doing it one by one is a terrible idea. They've been trying to do it all like, we got this team meshing together. We got this team. We got this team. And for the people who are like, you can't just put two people together just to make it. That's how tag teams are made. So shut up. FTR, WWE put those two guys together. That's from Dax's mouth. So if you don't like the fact that they just put two people together, then you don't like FTR, I assume.
Judgment Day worked out way better than anybody thought. I mean, honestly, dude.
That's how tag teams are made.
I'm not the biggest Edge fan. I'm just not. I like certain matches he's done, and I respect and love him for that part. But I don't love him.
Yeah.
So, dude, Judgment Day looked like beasts on SmackDown, in my opinion. Triple H gives them a big nod when they come in. Rhea's still smirking. I thought Rhea had a really, really damn good promo for what it was. I'm like, yep, she looks like that motherfucker now.
Yeah.
So shit works when you put them together, man. You'd be shocked.
Yeah. You just got to let it. The problem before was they put them together and then they break them up a month later. I don't think that's Triple H's plan. I think it's literally to build a division. And I said after WrestleMania, we'll kind of see it start to work to kind of come together a little bit more. And guess what? We had a number one contenders match on Raw. And then those number one contenders had a match on SmackDown to kind of build them up even more. So that's progress. Whether people want to admit it or not, there's the ones that won't, and that's fine. But it's true. You can't deny it's not a thing. So with that, I'll end the show on that note right there. I got a little bit too worked up on that whole angle that probably isn't going to happen, and I'm going to be sad about it. But
yeah, maybe.
If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I have faith in Triple H. He hasn't let me down yet. So, anything else you want to add before we say our goodbyes? Now is your chance to do so.
Draft is going to be huge for me. Can't wait for that shit. Mako better be coming because she didn't need to go to NXT. She went from UK to that, already world renowned. She needs to be in WWE. So, God dang it, get her there. I mean, you talk about women. There's some really good women. Tiffany, Isla Dawn.
Tiffany is that girl.
I mean, Indy. I mean, there's some good people to call up. and literally make this women's division, make it great. Just like NXT's giving them so much time, man. I have faith. I'm giving it 5 months, man. If I don't see hella progress, again, I'm gonna be that vampire, my little Sami Zayn flag in the corner, just sitting down in the dark watching Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. But I need it, and I think it's gonna happen. I just shit soon, please.
Patience.
Trying.
This is officially the Triple H season. This is the moment I've been waiting for, because
that's what everybody told me.
Yeah,
that's why I'm waiting.
When he took over, I was like, I don't think we need to criticize anything until after WrestleMania, because he's got to tie up some loose ends and then get his stuff going. So now is the time to, we're like, okay, Triple H, give us what you got. I thought SmackDown was great.
I like SmackDown.
Yeah. And there was parts of Raw that were good. There was just other parts that were not good. And it's possible it was by design. In my crazy, messed up head, I've convinced myself that it could be by design.
It was like maybe 2 parts that were good. I mean, and those parts were really good for what they were.
I thought the Sammy Kevin Owens Street Profits match was good. I like the fact the match itself probably wasn't anything. I didn't see it because I was listening to it. We were doing a photo shoot down at San Monica Pier, but I was listening to it, and they had the number 1 contenders match. As soon as I heard that, I was like, "That's what I like." Give us some continuity with it. Don't just drop it off because WrestleMania happened. Keep the women's tag division going. So, with that, I'll be back tomorrow for the Raw recap. Hopefully, I'm glad I missed last week's, honestly. That would have been a very short Raw recap.
Right?
Like, I'm not talking about anything that happened in between the beginning and the end. But yeah, I'll be back tomorrow for that. Join me if you're here, and I appreciate it. And we'll be back next week for another edition of Positively Awesome Wrestling, in which hopefully this week we have something that happens that we can sink our teeth into. So with that, laters, everybody. Thank you. And yeah, that's it. Goodbye.